Thanks for coming to another installment of BakeSmart Masterclass. Today we're going to cover costing products. I'm essentially in our mythical crosstown bakery here going to add a muffin product to our mix here. We don't currently offer it, so I'm going to build this one from scratch. So I'm going to build the formula. I'm going to create the product. I'm going to link the formula to the product, and we're going to see how the product costs out from that process. Okay. So to start from the home screen, I'm going to click on the menu. We're going to go to lists, and then we're going to go to formulas. All of the ingredients are already in the system. We're using them in other formulas, so no need to add ingredients on this one. If you have questions about that, I can cover it at the end. But I'm going to create a new formula here, and I'm going to call it a plain muffin. Category finished good, and then I'm going to start adding ingredients. I've scoured the internet for a basic muffin recipe and found one. First ingredient is all-purpose flour, 260 grams. Next is sugar. White sugar, there we are. That is 100 grams. Baking powder is listed as 2 teaspoons. Milk, whole milk, 0.75 cups. Butter, unsalted, or unsalted butter, is 114 grams. And then we're going to have 2 large eggs. Where did this come through? I might have to go play with that formula item for a minute there. If I remember correctly, large eggs around 60 grams. I'm not totally certain on that. So we're going to say 120 grams for now. We can come back to that. And there we go. We've got what the internet tells me is a complete muffin formula. Comes out as 594 grams. The yield on this is said to be 12 muffins. I'm gonna put 12 each here just for simplicity. So what we have here are obviously all of the ingredients, the weights, and then the associated costs based on what we're paying our suppliers in inventory, right? So let's also mark this as a weight, and that all gets totaled up here. So we can see it's $5.55 for a plain, obviously a very small plain muffin batch. We can add labor costs into this, right? So if we add a baker and they're spending, 25 minutes on this, and then supervisor is spending 10 minutes on this, or any other labor costs you want to enter in there, we're going to add labor cost to that here as well, right? So we can see the total time and the total cost. It's almost $1.50 per muffin. So now that I've got the formula built, I'm going to go and create the product, right? So I'm going to go to lists again and to products, and I'm going to create a new product called plain muffin. Muffin plain is probably the way to do it. Don't even know where to put this right now. So perhaps let's add a category for muffins. There we go. And then I'm going to go to the cost and origin tab. Origin meaning where did it come from? We're saying we're making these in-house, and then I'm going to link it to the formula that I just made. So I'm going to search for it. We've got plain muffin right here. The quantity we're portioning out for this, we're selling 1 each. We can see the cost is $1.49. So we're probably going to want to charge $1.99 to make sure we're making some money on this. But obviously, we're going to want to make a bigger batch, right, to reduce our per unit cost because of how intensive the labor is, or how much of a percentage of labor goes into this, right? So if I go back to that, we can, in edit mode, resize this formula. And I want to increase the yield from a dozen to maybe 10 dozen, right? If we do that, it's going to ramp all of these up. We're going to save the changes to the formula. Obviously, our cost goes up quite a bit here, right? This has gone up, well, 10x, right? But if we go and click on our usage here, we'll see that our per unit cost for the actual product has gone down to 57 cents, right? Maybe we can lower that cost a little bit, or that price a little bit, to $1.49. So that's really how we, I've built a whole formula, connected it to a product. Does anyone have questions on that? Because this is all pretty cut and dry. But happy to dig deep on any of the things here that BakeSmart can do with this, or how we arrive at this, or dig into inventory if you'd like.
So, Mike, can you head back to the formula for me, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just going to click on it right here. It turns blue when my cursor over it, so it's like a web link. What's up?
So, in our ingredients list, it's got in bold the ingredient name, and then beneath it is the ingredient name again.
Yes.
What is that?
This is the name for label, right? Okay. So if we remove that, well, it should say name for label, but that's what's gonna appear. So I might change this to just flour, right? And this to sugar. But this is what will appear. I'm sorry.
Sure. On which label?
That would appear on the ingredient label of the finished good. Let me see what prints here as well. All right. So if I go, I'm going to go back to the product again. And we have both nutrition labels and ingredient labels here. So on that, you'll see the flour and then the sugar simplified there. You can also override those labels. I don't know, maybe this is just going to turn into a label webinar, but you can override those labels as well. Excuse me here. Let's reset this. Right, so you can actually come in here and make any modifications to your ingredient labels you need to. You can add allergens here as well. Copy if you're using some other application to manage your label printing can be done here. I imagine there's going to be an interest. So here's our nutrition label. And that's going to portion out. These are the calories. If we turn sideways, based on all of the ingredients that have been linked to USDA items with their nutritional values as well.
So I have a question. So
hey, Cindy.
What if my ingredient is like a mix? What's the mix that we use for our stuff called?
Yeah, anyway. So like say our buttercream uses a buttercream base, and that has, all kinds of different ingredients in the buttercream base, even though the buttercream base is the main ingredient that we utilize in terms of like what amount that is. Is there like inner ingredient lists in like your inventory that you can put in, like what's in that mix?
Sure. Are you buying this base?
Yes.
This mix? Okay, you're buying it. All right. So yes, you can do that. Where do we do that? Inventory, right? So let's create a product called a muffin mix, right? And we'll make muffin mix, right? We're getting this is baking supplies. Makes sense. And then this is your name for label, right? So this might have, you know, flour, sugar, baking powder.
So
Right, if you
basically,
wanted to add that
whatever's
in
on
here.
the label of the mix, I'm gonna type it into there.
Yes. Yes.
But what if
Um,
flour, and then what if I add flour to it? Then that's flour and flour.
right. So yeah, I'm with you there. Let's build this up.
He built it in here.
Right. So we've got this here, right, as a muffin mix. So let's make some blueberry muffins with this muffin mix, okay?
Okay.
We've got a cost. We're good. Okay. I'm gonna go to formulas and we're gonna create blueberry muffins. Right. Finished goods. And what we're gonna use is that muffin mix. You're gonna catch me out here on units because I don't know what I'm doing. We'll say a kilo, right, of muffin mix, or 1,000 gallons. Oh, 1,000 half gallons. All right. So there's our muffin mix, and there's our blueberries. And then let's say like a half pound of blueberries. And then we're also there for whatever we're dusting it with flour or something at the end, just so there's more flour, or maybe sugar, right? A lot of times people will do a dusting of sugar on top of a muffin, right? So I can add white sugar here, 1 ounce, right? So then there's going to be sugar here and white sugar here. We're going to say we're making 12 each of these again. And then I'm going to go to products and create a blueberry muffin. There are newly created muffins category, and then cost and origin. It's in-house because we're adding the blueberries. That makes it a made-in-house item, right? We're actually producing it, baking it off. Muffin mix. Yes, blueberry muffin. There we are. 1 each, right? And then our ingredient label is going to have the muffin mix. It's going to list the sugar there, and then the sugar will be listed again as an add-in to it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then if we need to modify any of that, we can just overwrite all of this. You know, it's all sugar, right? Put that on a label. Probably not. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. And then I'm going to create a walnut muffin. Okay. Maybe I'll see if we have bananas in here, but I'm going to make another one. And this time we're going to use our plain muffin formula as an input to another formula, right? So we're going to use a formula as an ingredient. And this is going to be well, we'll name it when we're done, once I know what we're doing here. Do we have bananas? We do. All right. It's a banana walnut muffin. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is add the plain muffin. So to do that, I hit this little triangle right here instead of selecting from that drop-down list. And then I say use formula as ingredient. And then I'm going to search for the plain muffin. And we're going to do the 120 each, right? We're going to make the same batch size here. And if we're doing 120, I would say we need like a bunch of bananas. Like a dozen. Maybe that's 2 bunches. I don't know. And then walnuts. I don't know. 5 pounds. That's a lot, isn't it? Is it? 2 pounds of walnuts. totally guessing here, right? So then I've used our plain muffin mix and then added in bananas and walnuts as ingredients to that, which is still going to yield 120. Obviously, the price is going to be higher. Or I'm sorry, the cost will be higher. But then I can link this also to a product. Muffin, one each, right? And we see that's a little higher because of those walnuts and that. Any questions on that?
So what's that packaging overhead percentage thing there, Mike?
It's a great question. So we have a couple of options here to calculate packaging. One is to actually specify all of the individual pieces of packaging, whether it's boxes, bags, shells, clam shells for like pie tins, all that stuff. Or we can just say, hey, it's going to be about 3% of the total cost, and then we'll just increase the total cost of the ingredient costs by 3% and include that there.
So if we did want to do individual packaging, that's back in the costing section of this?
No, it's actually right here, but it's a preference that I would need to adjust in settings. Products and inventory. No. Products. Yeah, calculate product packaging and overhead cost manually or as a fixed percent. So if I do it manually and go back here to products, we were looking at banana muffin. Right, we could say, hey, we're going to add, what do we have here? It's sold with a napkin, which is probably going to be $0. Okay, it's a penny. And let's say we're going to do a pie tray, right? Costs a little more, but that'll show you there. Then we're adding all of this up, bringing it over to here.
When you assign those manually like that, and I sell a banana walnut muffin, is BakeSmart reducing my on-hand level of napkins by 1 and pie trays by 1?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, that's tied to, it gets consumed as, yes, items get sold, orders get picked up, that sort of thing.
Can I go back to the question on the ingredient label? I thought an ingredient label so it's correct on the nutrition thing, like the ingredients had to be listed like whatever the most was. So flour, and then the next thing is sugar. So it would in the muffin example, it would add the sugars together, and that might move its place in this list of ingredients, so from greatest to least.
Yeah, the issue with that is, well, at least as far as the muffin mix goes, is we don't know how much sugar is in that muffin mix.
Yeah,
like we're just, you know what I mean? Like that's not declared to us. So we don't have that information to work from. With regard to using this formula here. So we're taking
From the plain muffin.
If we were to dust this with sugar, right? Right, then there'd be sugar here and sugar in the plain muffin. Those should be added together to then sort on that list of where it slots in for your ingredients.
So it is sorting the ingredients by highest usage of what's in it, though.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is by weight.
Got it.
Unless it's a mix or something that you don't know what all the parameters are of those weights.
Right.
So
See, we
Brent
got
had a
here, Brent.
question in chat asking to show what the shelf life button does.
Yep. So shelf life, we have them in formulas for your in-process works, right? And then we have them in products as well. They're going to look the same. We're setting time, right? So sitting out a muffin's going to stay good. I mean, in my house, for a week, at least. And then refrigerated, you know, maybe 3 weeks, and then frozen, I just read online, it can last up to 6 months. Right. So this is used, the shelf life values here are used in our production module. When you produce a batch, at the end, you say how you're storing the batch. And based on that, we set an expiration date to that batch based on these values here. And then we'll warn you when you've got expiring product coming up.
Mike, how does this work in terms for something like a cake that has servings to the cake? Does that make any difference when it comes to ingredients or cost per slice? Because I know that, you know, if we were to end up building something like the cake matrix that's all based on servings, that would break down differently. How would that work?
So
Did that question make sense?
with that, let me see here. I mean, so cakes, let me see here. Let me find a product I've got. Right. So if we've got a German chocolate cake here, is anybody charging $16 for a 7-inch cake right now? Sorry, these prices are a little rough. Right. So this is gonna pull in a chocolate cake formula. You know, weights of your different batters, right? So, I mean, what you'd need to do in that case is actually apportion. I'm sorry, we're talking about for the cake matrix. Give me a second. Let me go here. A little bit outside the scope of what we're doing here, but we can touch on this. So the formula quantity required is here, right? So we actually do store this in the matrix here, where your vanilla cake, I'm guessing back here, has been linked to a formula. We made it up, pastry cream, but then for a 7-inch square, we're using this much. For a 10-inch square, oh, whole bunch of bad math. We're gonna say 450. It's a guess. maybe close, maybe way off. I don't know. So that's where this happens, and then that would flow down into production. But what we found is generally most people for cake production are using our flavor by size report, size by flavor report. That will tell them, hey, for chocolate, you need this many layers of these various sizes, your rounds and inches, your squares, your sheets. It seems as though that's where having not run a bakery, we're thinking more in how many layers of each size do I have.
Gotcha.
But we can do weights here as well. Any other questions we can answer for you guys? All right, folks. Well, hey, thanks for carving out a half hour here and you know, listening to us chat a bit about BakeSmart. As always, if you want to get a hold of us, give us a call, email us. We've also got the ability to schedule time with us on our website. We've got a chat bot on our website that we can flow through to us. So we're accessible. We do these every second Wednesday of the month, at least to the end of the year. Holidays will be interesting to see who's got time heading into the holidays to hang out with us for a half hour or so, but we're excited for it. So thanks again. And any questions or follow-ups, just reach out to Jared or myself. Appreciate you joining us. Have a good one.
Hey guys.
Bye.
Bye.